Hi, and welcome to the second part of this Numpy series. Today we'll be starting off with slicing and indexing. But before that, we'll also learn the concept of how we can create an array of 3 dimension or more than 2 dimension. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we'll start off by creating a 3 dimensional array. So for creating a 3 dimensional array, what we have to do is first we specify numbers. Like, let's say I want a 3 dimensional array. I want a 3 array of dimensions 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So that means we need 6 times 4, 24 elements for that. Okay? We need to have 24 elements, or else it won't be a 3 dimensional array of dimension 2, 3, and 4. So what we do is we create numbers. Num is equal to, let's say, np dot random np dot a range and 24. So we'll have 24 random elements, and then what we do is we print num. So what we see is we get a one-dimensional array out of this. By default, when we use np dot a range, and inside that we give in our number of elements we want. So from 0 to 23 we get elements printed. So we have 24 elements number, and if I write num dot shape, we have 24 comma nothing. That means it's a one-dimensional array. There is a function in NumPy which is reshape. So what we do is we say d3 array is equal to num dot reshape. Reshape into what? We want 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay? Will be reshape. Yeah. And then we print d3 array. So what we get is a 3 dimensional array. How is it 3 dimensional? Okay, let's see. So it has 3 rows, it has 4 columns and 2 separate matrices. So the first element over here defines how many matrices you will have. That means if you can visualize it, so it will have a row, a column, and then it will have a third element of which will be an element of depth, like a z-axis. Now this element of depth signifies how many matrices you will have. So if you have 2 over here, what it tells you is that you will have 2 matrices, one after the another, like pages stacked in a book. Okay, one page is after the another page. So we'll have 2 pages, will be one after the another, and each page will be of, and each matrix will be of, will have 3 columns, 3 rows and 4 columns. This is how you can create a 3 dimensional array. Next up, what we'll do is we'll start off with indexing. So indexing is nothing but you want to access an element out of this array. We'll start off with first one dimensional, then we'll move on to 2 dimensional, 3 dimensional. So we'll start off with this first dimension, and you want an element. You want to extract one element from uh, one dimensional array or array 1. How will you extract that element? What we can do is if I write array 1 within third brackets 1, we get 2. Notice that over here array 1 starts with 1. In Python and any other language, in C or Java, indexing starts from 0. So 1 has an index of 0, 2 has an index of 1, 3 has an index of 2, 4 has an index of 3. So what we say is that indexing is n minus 1, where n is your number of elements. We have 5 number of elements. We have 5 number of elements. So for here, for the first element, we'll have 1 minus 1, which will be 0. The second element will have 2 minus 1, which will be 1. Notice that 2 or 1 is not the number that we are accessing. 1 or 2 or n over here is basically the position. Okay, so this first place will have an index of 0. Even if it is 10, index of this first place will always be 0. It won't be 9. If I write 0, I will always access the first element. Okay, now moving on, let's say I want to index out some other elements out of it. Let's say if I write array 1 and I want the third element. I want the third element. I get 4. What if I write array 1 and I want the 8th element? When it gives index 8 is out of bounds of axis 0, which with size 5. What it is saying is that we don't have 8 elements over here. Okay, so for having 8 elements means having an element with index 8 will have to have 9 elements in that, at least 9 elements in an array, so that we can access 8th index from that array. Moving on to array 2. Array 2 is a matrix. That means it has a row and it has columns. So if what you have to do is within brackets, what we write is 2, let's say 1 comma 1, array 2, 1 comma 1, we get 5. We go up and we see 1 comma 1 is this one. So over here the indexing always starts from 0. So this has a coordinate of 0 comma 0. This has a coordinate of 0 comma 1. This has a coordinate of 0 comma 2. So the order is row comma column. So this is row 0 column 0, the 0 comma 0. Row 0 column 1, 0 comma 1. If you come over here, this is row 1 column 0, 1 comma 0, and this one will be 1 comma 1. So we have got a desired output of 5. Similarly, if I write array 2 and 2 comma 2, this is out of bound because it ends at 1 comma 2. It doesn't have any other dimensions to it, so it ends at 1 comma 2. Moving on to the 3-dimensional array, if you write D3 array and let's say we want 1 comma 1 comma 1, okay, if print we get 17. Now let's say, now as explained earlier, the first element over here defines which matrix you want, and in that matrix which row and column you want. You want first matrix. We'll go up here. Now again indexing starts from 0, so this is the 0th matrix. This is the first matrix. In this first matrix you are accessing the first row and first column. So you have 17 as output over here. Similarly, if you write D3 array, let's say 2 comma 2 comma 2, it will give us an error because we don't have another matrix down here, which will be second matrix. We only have 2 matrix with index 0 and 1. This will give us an error as expected. Okay, so let's move on to slicing. What slicing is? Slicing is nothing but accessing some part or subset of the whole array over here. Previously in indexing, we were accessing one particular element from it. Slicing is accessing multiple elements or subset of that array. If I write over here array 1 and inside third brackets, I write 0 to 3. I want the first 3 elements. What I get is 10, 2 and 3. Similarly, array 1. Another way of writing this same thing is we won't write 0, we'll write colon 3. It gives us the same thing. What this signifies, what this means is that we'll start from the beginning, we'll go towards to 3. Similarly, if I want from let's say 3 to 5, let's say 3 to 5 we want. So I'll write array 1 and the index for 3. Now array 3 will give me array 3 0 1 2 3 will give me 4, right? Will give me 4, but what I want is I want 3 as well. So I'll write array 1 2 colon till 5. So I can leave this empty. What this means is go from beginning, go from second element to till the end. I get 3, 4 and 5. Similarly, for array 2, now we have 2 dimensions. What to do? Let's say I want to index out 0th first row. I want to index out 2, 3, 5 and 6. Okay, this part over here. What will I write? 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay. The very first thing is you will notice a comma over here. This comma separates row from column. Okay, so this is the part over here will be row, and part over here will be column. Which row I want? I want the first row, right? So from first row I want till end, and from second, and which column do I want? I want the whole row. So from 0 to end, and which column do I want? I want from first column to the last column, right? So I'll get 2, 3, 5, 6. Why 0 to 0 colon nothing? Colon nothing means start from 0, go till end. So we only have 2 rows over here. So this will be our 0th row, this will be our first row. So it will have both this row, but in both this row and both this column. The common elements are 2, 3, 5, 6. So we'll get 2, 3, 5, 6 as output. Now for array 3 means 2-dimensional array, D3 array, we'll use similarly, we'll have 3. Over here I want, let's say 0. That means I want to access the first matrix. In this first matrix, let's say I want this part. So 1, 2 and 5, 6. Okay. So which rows do I pick? Yeah, I have to pick the first row and the second row. That means 0th row and first row. I want to have 0th row and first row. So let's say we'll write this over here. And then I want to have the first column and the second column. First column and the second column. Okay. First column and second column. If I print this, we'll get 1. Okay. First column and the third column. And third column. and this will be true, I guess. Yeah. So we want these two, right? 0 and 1. Indexing goes from n minus 1. So 1 will only give us 0. So I have to input 2 over here so that we'll get 2 rows. And 1, 2, 3 so that we get it from, I get uh, 5 and 6 as well. Okay. This is it for this video. Thank you for watching.